Oh, hey there, kids. How you doing? This is Mr. Connors. I'm a PE teacher at Addison Meisner Elementary School. I've been teaching for 35 years, and today we are going to try and learn about juggling. Now, I don't know about you guys, but since I was a little kid, I always wanted to learn how to juggle. And believe it or not, I did not learn how to juggle until I was in college. It took me a long time because nobody really taught me the right way. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down juggling to make it as simple as possible for you to learn how to juggle. So before we get started, the first thing we need to talk about is social distancing. Remember, we do not want to be close by to anybody. We want to make sure that we have a safe environment. Now, I'm juggling inside my house here, but you probably want to try juggling outdoors just in case the ball gets away from you. Now, you can juggle with just about anything that you have at home that's safe to use. I have 3 beanbag balls, but I also have tennis balls, which you might be able to find around someplace, or any other small ball that you feel comfortable juggling with. You don't want to juggle with anything that you might break, so you've got to be very selective in what you juggle with. Now, other things that we need to worry about is we have to make sure that we have a space that is big enough for you to work in. That's called your own personal space, okay? So you want to make sure that you're not near anybody, and you certainly don't want to be near any objects that could break. For example, if I go over here too close to this lamp, then I'm going to run into trouble because if the ball gets away from me, it might knock over the lamp. All right, I think we're now ready to get started. Now, the cool thing about this, it's taped, so anytime that you need to pause the tape, you can pause and then practice. We're going to start learning how to juggle with one ball only. Now, I know some of you are thinking to yourself, oh, juggling with one ball, I can do that easy. But there's a special way that you need to juggle, and that is by tossing in a U shape. I'm starting the ball in my right hand. I'm going to make a U shape, throw it up in the air, and then catch it with the opposite hand. Now, for me to get the ball from my left hand back to my right hand, I start the ball on the outside, I do a U shape, and it comes back to my other hand. I want to make sure that the ball does not go too high. If I throw really high, then I'm not going to be able to juggle very well. So I suggest that the ball never go above the top of your head. If you can juggle at eye height, then that's probably ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice my U shape, back and forth, catching the ball. If I toss it and I drop it, it's no big deal. All I do is pick up the ball and then I start again. Notice that time the ball hit my chest. I just got to be consistent of where I'm throwing that ball. I want to go up in the air about the same height every single time and then catch the ball. So I'm just going to keep doing this back and forth until I feel absolutely positive that I can do it. Now I suggest right now that you pause the tape, and then what you're going to do is you're going to practice just tossing with one ball at a time, back and forth between your 2 hands. And you've really got to get that down. That U motion is very important, especially when we start to try and juggle 2 balls or eventually 3 balls. Okay, so go practice that and then come on back. Okay, welcome back. I'm sure that you were out there practicing. You dropped the ball sometimes. Just remember the keys of juggling one ball. We're going to start the ball in our dominant hand, which for me is my right hand. If you're left-handed, start the ball in your left hand. It really doesn't make any difference because you have to be able to toss the ball correctly with your right hand and your left hand. Now, I'm sure when you went outside and you were trying to juggle, some of you were struggling with one of your hands. So that hand that's not doing the job for you, you need to practice that even more. So maybe I'm just going to practice with my left hand. Make sure you're doing a U motion so that the ball is consistently going the same height and it's going right to your other hand. Okay, you probably want to go back out and practice with just one ball one more time to make sure that you've got it. And kids, I'm going to tell you right now, the goal of this lesson is for us to eventually be able to juggle at least 2 balls, and then if we really got it down, the goal would be to go ahead and juggle with 3 balls. Okay, 3 balls a little bit more difficult, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So make sure you've got that throwing motion down, and don't worry, when you come back after practicing 1 ball one more time, then we're going to move on to practicing with 2 balls. Okay, you can see now I have 1 ball in each hand. What we're going to do is we have to learn how to crisscross the ball in front of us so that the ball is going to go to the opposite hand and we can catch it. So we're going to start out, we just toss it up and catch the ball in the other hand. So now I have 2 balls in one hand. Now I can try the other side. So I'm essentially just practicing catching the ball with a ball in one hand. And I can switch hands. I can now put it in this hand, and I'm doing that same thing. So I'm only practicing with 1 ball right now because we have to learn how to catch the ball when we have 2 balls in one hand. Okay, so you can practice that for a little bit, put it on pause, and then come back. Now, once you've got that down, now we're going to try and toss the 2 balls and catch both of them. So what I like to do is I'm going to think 1, 2. I'm doing a U shape with my right hand and my left hand, but the ball's going to cross. 1 ball goes first. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to toss the ball in my right hand first. So I start on the outside, I go 1, 2. And notice I ended up catching both of the balls. That's pretty good. And I'm just going to keep practicing that. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So I'm just going to keep practicing that. If I drop a ball, it's no big deal. Pick it up and start again. So now what I want you to do is you're going to go outside and you're going to practice 1, 2. 1, 2. Notice I'm trying to throw the balls about the same height. It's really important when we get to 3 balls eventually that they go the same height so that you can get a rhythm. For example, if I go like this, I didn't catch either one of them because 1 ball was really high and 1 ball was low, and that didn't work for me. So now, go outside, practice with 2 balls, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, you just got back inside, you're watching the video again. We're going to start with the same exact thing we just talked about. Let's highlight a few things. When I toss, remember, I start the balls on the outside of my body. The U shape always goes in. So I'm starting on the outside, up, inside. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And if I get a little bit faster, you can see it looks like I'm juggling 2 balls, but I'm really just tossing 1 ball at a time. And I'm making sure I use that U shape. Okay, so once you've got this down, and it might take a while, because I'm telling you right now, this is not easy to do. You can go out and practice, 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 and this 1, 2, once you get this down, you're almost there. You're almost ready to do 3 balls. So go back outside, practice that 1, 2 again. Trust me, the more you do this, the better juggler you're going to be. So we're going to pause the tape right now, go outside and practice again, 1, 2, until you got it down where you can catch the ball every single time. If you can go just like I am right now, then you're getting pretty close to being able to toss 3 balls. Okay. Now, we are going to try to throw 3 balls. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. Just like before though, I'm going to start with 2 balls in my dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so that means that I am going to start with 2 balls in my right hand. I am going to do the same thing, but I'm only going to juggle 1 ball. So watch what happens. The ball that I'm going to keep in my hand, I am going to use the first 2 fingers, my pinky finger and the finger next to it, to hold that ball. The other 3 fingers I'm using to hold the second ball. I'm going to do my U shape again. I start from the outside, and I'm just going to toss it up, and I'm going to catch it. Toss it up and catch it. So I'm only catching with 3 fingers, back and forth. This is important. You have to be able to have 2 balls in one hand for juggling to work. So you're going to practice this for quite a while till you get used to it. If you drop the ball once again, it's no big deal. Pick it up and practice again. Now, it's really important when you pick a ball up to use, you got to have a ball that you can handle. For example, these balls are a lot bigger. If you were trying to use them in your hand, I don't know that you'd be able to do it. So if the ball's too big, then go with a smaller ball if you can. I suggest that maybe if you can get a ball about the size of tennis balls, that would work very well for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice outside, just tossing 1 ball up in the air and catching it with 3 fingers. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and we'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, you've just come back inside. You've practiced tossing 1 ball. Well, now we're going to practice tossing 2. Okay, so what's going to happen is the balls that are in my right hand, I'm going to toss 1 ball, then I'm going to toss the ball from my left hand. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you're left-handed, you're going to do the same thing. It's going to be 1, 2, whoops, 1, 2, 1, 2, so that you get used to catching the ball with 1 hand. So now you're going to go back and practice that. Remember, start on the outside. You're making a U shape, right like this, but now we're trying to get 2 balls up in the air at the same time. Don't worry if you're dropping them on the ground. That's part of the learning process. It'll get better. So go ahead and do that, and then come on back in when you think you're ready. Okay, so now we're going to try for the very first time to juggle 3 balls. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, at the beginning, the balls are going to be dropping all over the place. Don't worry about that. Don't get frustrated. You can do this. You just got to keep practicing. So now I am going to try all 3. And the process is this. I'm going to start the ball in my right hand. I'm going to toss that ball up in the air. Then I'm going to toss the ball from my left hand. And then I'm going to toss the ball from my right hand. So the count is 1, 2, 3. Watch. It goes 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now notice I keep putting the ball back in my right hand. Why? Because that's the best way that I can do it. My right hand is a lot stronger than my left, so I'm going to start this way every single time. It's just like any other sport. When you get off to a good start, you start feeling confident, and as you get confident, you're doing better and better all the time. So that's what we're eventually going to do. So now we're going to be trying all 3 at the same time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. Look at that. I dropped it. No big deal. 1, 2, 3. So you're now going to go out and practice that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just keep doing that until you can catch the ball every single time. If you're still dropping it, then you're not ready for the next step. Don't try and jump straight into juggling all 3 balls, because chances are you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to get frustrated. Now, if this messes you up, where I'm doing all 3 balls, and I'm really struggling to do that, then that means take 1 ball, put it away, and then just go back to 2. There's nothing wrong with going backwards, because now you need to get those basic fundamentals down correctly so that you're going to get better. All right, so go ahead. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Practice that and then come on back. All right, you've come back inside. Hopefully you've had a lot of success. If you had to go backwards, it's no big deal. Like I said at the beginning, this is not easy. This is very difficult to do, and it's very easy to get frustrated. If you start getting mad, then maybe you need to chill out for a while, go do something else, and then come back to it. Like I said, remember, I didn't learn how to juggle until I was in college. So I was like 19 years old at the time when I was learning how to juggle. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. Okay, we're now ready to try and juggle for real. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out that 1, 2, 3, but now we got to keep it going. So I'm just going to be thinking in my head, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, watch. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, up. I started juggling, but I messed up. I still caught the ball. And that's going to happen. I'm going to drop them. They're going to go all over the place. It's no big deal. And I'm just going to try and keep getting better and better. Notice that last one, I tossed the ball. I had to step towards you to catch the ball. So the goal is to eventually be able to stand in one spot and keep the ball going as long as you can. And that's juggling. Now, during this whole process, if you're juggling and you don't feel confident in what you're doing, go back to the step before and practice that. Even if you have to go all the way back to just using one ball, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, this motion, this U motion is really important. And I didn't understand that for the longest time, that the ball had to be tossed in a U shape in order for me to juggle. So hopefully you have learned how to juggle. And now when you get real good, you get 6 balls. Are we ready? I know you're saying, wow, he's going to juggle 6. Watch this, kids. You do not get to see this every single day. Ready? Here we go. Just kidding. I can't juggle 6 balls. I'm not that good. But you know what? I can juggle 3, and 3 is fine with me. So if you can get out there and you can start juggling, you'll amaze your friends, and they are going to have a great time. And you know what? Maybe you can teach them how to juggle. Thank you very much. I hope you had a great time juggling. See you next time.